guys, Martin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the LR Vegeta and Trunks with their EZA. Shout out to everybody else who kept the faith, as I said yesterday in the title of the EZA details video. I've been saying, like, since part 1 sort of was coming to an end and the GT stuff was starting to come out, I said that, you know, I assumed that this EZA was still going to come out, but a little bit later on in the celebration, because it didn't make any sense for this celebration to come completely to an end and this EZA to have not happened, especially with them doing the Int Zamasu, who was the part 2 unit for these guys, like for their Tanabata celebration. So the EZA is finally here, and it looks like it is going to be incredible. Now, their leader skill obviously doesn't really change much with the category leads we've now seen. Like their EZA, they basically just get 1 extra key being given to the 30% extra part of their leader skill, but this could still be pretty good. I imagine with the effect that these guys have with their super and how good they are as a slot 1 unit, even though it's like only a 200% lead and we're in the 220 meta now, like you could quite easily make a double Vegeta and Trunks lead team with some of the best units in the game that are on their team, and then that team still be really good in difficult events. So their 12 key super greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, does colossal damage, and then the big crazy thing is their 18 key super raises attack and defense, which is an infinite stack, mega colossal damage to the enemy, and then raises allies attack and defense by 5% in battle. So what this means is every time Vegeta and Trunks do an 18 key super, which obviously can only be once per turn, they raise all allies on the team attack and defense 5% permanently for the rest of the fight. So in events that are quite long, and these guys are going to end up being on the turn, what, like 4 or 5 times, that's going to add up to a pretty significant amount. Like even just the one thing, like people say, oh, it's only 5%. That's extra free, like permanent stack of attack and defense to everyone on the team. And this is what I'm saying, if you end up running like a double Vegeta and Trunks lead team, even in an event that's only going to last like 6 or 7 turns, you're getting one of those 18 key supers off every turn with them. That's going to be very interesting. Now obviously you guys know I don't like Festival of Battles, I don't rate units based on it, I don't get excited when a new unit comes out that will be good in Festival of Battles, but this unit will actually change the game for Festival of Battles, because it's what, like 40-50 turns, so these guys are going to end up 18 key supering like 20 odd times, which means everybody else on the team is going to be getting even more stacking than they do already, which is kind of crazy. Like this could make even units who aren't stackers end up being good in that event, which is funny. So they're passive. We get their entrance animation when there's another bond of child ally on the bond of parent and child ally on the team. They don't have to be on the turn, they just have to be on the team, which means if you're running even one other character on the team, then you're fine, and if you're running double Vegeta and Trunks leads, then you've already got it already anyway with the other one, so that's really good. It gives them key 7 and 100% defense for 5 turns, damage reduction 10%, and randomly change key spheres of a certain type other than int to rainbow for 3 turns. So they get 7 key and 100% defense for 5 turns, and then an extra 10% damage reduction and rainbow orb changing for 3 turns. Their base effects are 2 key, 200% attack and defense. They have guard, they have 20% damage reduction. They launch an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super. Then when they're attacking with 18 or more key, they get a guaranteed additional super. When they're attacking with 24 key or in the turn where you use the active skill, they give bond of parent and child allies an extra 30% defense. So obviously if they're supering in slot 1, they're buffing the rest of the rotation for bond of parent and child characters. And then for every attack received or evaded, which is really good because now dodge is good for them, key 2 up to 10, attack 20% up to 100, and defense 50% up to 150, chance to crit 10% up to 50. So because they can build up to 50% crit chance, I've basically taken all the crit out of their hidden potential and just given them full dodge and additional. As the first attacker in the turn, they get another 200% attack and defense, and they get another 30% damage reduction. So for the first 3 turns, they have 60% damage reduction in slot 1, whilst also having guard. They get extra defense when we like lock them into slot 1, because as the first attacker they get 200% extra, and then they're going to build up by getting hit or dodging. So that obviously seems very, very good. Their active skill can be used when all allies are Future Saga from turn 3, or when HP is 50% or less from turn 5. It massively raises attack temporarily, does ultimate damage, and then all attacks become crits and raise all allies' defense by 20%. So when you couple that with the thing from their passive, with the Bond of Parent and Child allies with 24 key or the active skill, it means they give Bond of Parent and Child allies 50% defense on the turn where they use their active skill. So we can see here turn 1 they're at 333k defense start of turn. That's not necessarily the craziest, but that's still paired with guard and 60% damage reduction. And then, like I said, once they're locked into slot 1, they get the extra 200% already anyway. And then, of course, as they start to take hits or dodge, they get that defense as they're taking those hits, right? So if they take a couple of hits first and then take a super, they've already had a couple of those increases, right? So we got 18 million to start us off with. Now, obviously, this is not a unit that I'm expecting to be dropping like 50 million attack stats like turn 1 kind of thing, right? But they are going to build up as we keep going, as they keep taking hits. The additionals like 11 mil, it's pretty good, into a 12. All of their additionals, remember, are greatly raising their defense as well. So with all of this extra defense, like, they quite easily are going to be clearing like 2 million here, even on the first turn with all these additionals. And then you couple that with 60% damage reduction and guard. But yeah, we took 4 hits in the first turn, so they've got their full defense build up and 4 out of 5 hits for their offense build up as well. So that's pretty good. Next turn 18 key super should be looking pretty interesting. And then yeah, we've got the 2 Gokus. Pretty bad rotation really to start with both the Gokus on the first turn, but here's what it is, right? There's not much we can do about that here. So I'd rather have the Vegeta and Trunks on the first turn so we can get started. The thing I'm most looking forward to, of course, is this unit getting an EZA and being a slot 1 unit for this team finally gives us that opportunity to actually exchange the Goku into the blue Vegeta and have him in slot 2, because he's now got this like slot 1 unit, perfect slot 1 unit to go with him. And of course, Vegeta's passive is that he gives the buff to units whose name includes Trunks. So this guy's going to start looking really, really good. Alright, so we'll do what we've done before for some showcases in this setup here, where we just kind of prioritize getting some extra turns in, getting some stacks, like getting to see what the characters can do. So we're just going to get everybody to attack Zamasu, so we can start building up a little bit here. Not a lot of key for the gods in slot 1, which is annoying. But fortunately they can at least slot 1 on their first turn, so it's one of the only reasons why I kept the starting rotation rather than repeatedly quitting out and trying to restart again, because I saw that we at least had a viable turn 2. Because you don't really want all of your slot 1 units on turn 1, because then you know you're going to survive turn 1 because you've got all your tanks, only to then get to turn 2 and not have a particularly good time. But of course, remember as well, like Vegeta and Trunks have already done an 18 key super, so everybody on the team already now has an extra 5% attack and defense that they wouldn't have had usually on this team. Which, like I said, 5% on its own doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a nice little bit extra for free, and it's going to keep building up over time. And obviously, like, whilst this won't be a realistic showcase of what like a normal event would look like, we could, in theory, just repeatedly stay fighting Zamasu for as many turns as we want, and just getting as many of those 18 key supers and building up the whole team, which is going to be hugely beneficial for like any of these characters who are like just about reaching that threshold where they're starting to become a little bit defensively questionable. Like, they're going to get so much assistance from this Vegeta and Trunks unit being on the team, right? Giving them permanent buffs every time they 18 key super. They give the Bond of Parent and Child allies on the rotation defense when they super in slot 1 as well. So everybody else on the first turn, like, and then of course the Goku himself, right, the 18 key super raises all allies defense. So by the time you have Vegeta and Trunks supering in slot 1, that gives everyone on the turn the buff. There's the permanent buff, then there's like the buff from Goku's super attack effect as well. Like, it's going to go crazy. So turn 2, we're already at 24 key start of turn and 1 million defense start of turn. So bear in mind, that's without them then getting 200% for being in slot 1. So they're essentially, apart from some of the hardest hitting bosses in the game, they're kind of already almost at the point where they can't take damage from almost anything, which is kind of funny. So we'll go ahead and do this, 18 key again, and then let's go for these for you. And then we can't get the 18 key for, or the full 24 key for Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, but I suppose it doesn't really matter. The full 24 key just gives him guaranteed crits, and since we're attacking Zamasu anyway, it doesn't even matter. But yeah, that was the last hit for them to get the extra key and the extra attack. Don't even really need the key, but yeah, the fact they have 10 extra key in their passive now is pretty good. And then yeah, hitting considerably harder this time around. The additional 17.4, because again, these guys aren't on the team to deal damage, right? So their attack stats being a little bit lower than some of the other units on the team, it doesn't matter, right? Because that's not their role. They're here to be that slot 1 tank, and of course now an insane support unit. Because not only are they supporting with, like I say, not only are they supporting with the actual effect of, like, when they attack, they give the, with 18 key, they give the Bond of Master, Parent and Child allies extra defense. There's the permanent buff as well. So now everyone on the team has an extra 10% attack and defense, which is the equivalent for some of the lower level ones. I know when they EZA them, the effect is higher than that, but like that's the equivalent of like using a support memory. So imagine if you were using a support memory as well in some of these harder events, and then using Vegeta and Trunks. Everybody on the team is going to be able to get built up to some pretty crazy levels. So we do like to see that. So yeah, Gotenks not obviously going to do damage to Zamasu here anyway. I guess we should probably start attacking Rose. Maybe the turn after this next one we'll get Vegeta and Trunks to actually target Rose. But yeah, looking good here so far. So let's go for, get the SDR orbs for you. Get those for you. Yeah, I mean, bearing in mind the gods only got a couple of super attacks off on their first turn, and they're already at like 1.1 million. It's just like every single unit on the team just benefits just by existing from Vegeta and Trunks getting their 18 key super, which is pretty good. I can't wait to see what they're going to look like with the Vegeta next to them as well, which we'll do on the next turn here to take advantage and try and get rid of Rose. Because yeah, he gives, is it 50% to units whose name includes Trunks, which that's the other thing about, like, you know, like almost like knowing in my bones, right, that these guys were going to get their EZA, because I'm not the only person to say it, like we talked about it on stream and stuff before, but like the Vegeta part of the Blue Goku Vegeta card having a buff for units whose name includes Trunks, and then like before, like right up until these guys EZA got announced, it's like what Trunks are you running with them? Like, it's like, you know, perfectly lined up that these guys had to EZA, because then that applies to them, and they're the slot 1 unit that lets the Vegeta be out to give that support and do the big damage in slot 2. Because Vegeta is a more damaging unit, a little bit more risky defensively than the Goku, but of course with all the buffs that these guys are now giving, like, he's going to be even more safe in slot 2, because them attacking first, giving the 30% buff with the, if attacking with 18 key, the permanent buff as well, like Vegeta's going to be fairly safe. I mean, he could still get taken out, I guess, by like the hardest hitting supers in the game, but I suppose it also depends at that point, because depending how long in the event you're in, like especially if we're talking about like Rose fully built up, to be fair, you can kill Zamasu fairly quickly. Rose gets fully built up fairly quickly, so it's not like you're going to have had like 15 turns to stack your defense or anything, but should certainly be interesting. Okay, so we can see here now that they're fully built up, start of turn with no like support units on the rotation, 1.24 million defense start of turn. They get an extra 200% just by being in slot 1 as well, which is just funny. So then we switch over to Vegeta. So Vegeta's now giving the massive buff, so now we're at basically 1.5 million start of turn, which means once we lock them in into slot 1, they're at like 4.5 with guard. We've lost the extra 10% damage reduction because it's been more than 3 turns now, but they have guard and 50% damage reduction whilst also having like 4.5 million defense before attacking, and then of course once they attack it gets even higher than that. And then yeah, obviously this guy, he gives 25% extra support if we use the active skill, but we'll wait for that. We'll use that on the next turn. So let's try and get rid of Rose here. So we'll go for Rose first, then we'll grab the STR orbs here for you, and then we'll grab the AGL orbs for the Vegeta at the end. Don't know whether Rose will still be alive then, but let's see what we're looking at here. So this is the setup that I've wanted to see with their EZA. 33 million for their 18 key super, which again is pretty good considering I'm not expecting them to be a damage dealer. And then of course with their full key, which is not difficult to get because they're fully built up. The additional from their passive, unfortunately we did not get the great chance, but then we get the guaranteed additional, which is 21 million. That's another greatly raise, and then we get the hidden potential normal. So it's probably the worst turn in terms of RNG for like attacks from them. And then I think this is my Vegeta, right, who's like 55%, yeah, 32 mil, and then into a 21. Got the lore appropriate, the Rose beatdown super on Rose. Let's go. 23. But yeah, this guy should have checked his start of turn defense because his defense is going to be even higher now thanks to the Vegeta and Trunks multiple buffs. Of course he's going to eat a super now. So does he just take this for double digit damage with all of this extra support and everything? Single digit damage, okay. Well, there you go. And then the Vegeta at the end. Bearing in mind this guy hasn't really had a chance to have like a lot of stacks or anything. Is at 21 million here. Which is pretty good considering I have one dupe in my AGL like Vegeta. So that's pretty good. A couple of extras here as well. Get those extra stacks off. Take out Rose? Really? Okay. Well, I guess we save that for next turn. So what are we up to now in terms of Diva? Like, people have got to be hitting some pretty high numbers here now. Yeah, the gods are at 1.6 with guard. You're at 400 start of turn, which obviously gets significantly higher. If anything, I probably just want the gods to get another stack. So just go ahead and do that. Pick those up so we get that little bit of health back. Of course he supered straight away, but I don't know how much this Rose hits for in the boss rush, but this is technically only the second phase. So it does some damage, but not enough to kill us. Although hopefully, well actually I don't know, I didn't do enough damage. I was going to say we do need to take some damage if we want to get the active skill, because with this particular team build we're not going to get a full Future Saga rotation. So we got to wait. The active skill will only be turn 5 when you're at 50% or less HP, which it's not ideal, but it is what it is. So now that we've seen this, right, let's go ahead and use the Vegeta and Trunks active skill for the Goku and Vegeta, because this now gives everybody on the team a buff, well, the Future Saga and then Bond of Parent and Child units. So these guys now go up to being at 1.73 start of turn. So that's pretty good. I'm going to do that. You're at 2.1 million start of turn. Okay. Because does he raise... Oh no, he doesn't even raise for multiple turns. He's at 2.1 million start of turn. Hello? And then Tech Goku at the end is at 354. What a mess. I'll just do this. And then grab those. He's going to get the extra buffs from everyone else attacking as well. But, damn. So we're at 39 million. So it's the highest that we can see here from these guys with the team that we've got. Obviously if we had like a floating slot 3 support or multi-turn supports on the other turn or anything like that, we could push it a little bit higher than that. But that's still very good for what is basically a defensive slot 1 tank support unit. Still can get up to putting out like a 40 mil and then a couple of additionals that are like 25 plus. And that's pretty good. Plus bear in mind at this point, like with the post super buffs, all the additional buffs, like these guys are probably at what? So they add 1.7, was it, ish. You get 200% extra when they super, or when they attack from slot 1. That goes up to like 5. Then all the other buffs that they get and the greatly raises. Like, by the time they'd finished super attacking, I think they're over like 6 million defense, whilst having 50% damage reduction and guard. So, obviously slot 1 supers could potentially still be an issue in certain fights. But like, once these guys have really got going, like, yeah, they can't take damage like after they attack, which is crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna use the other Vegeta active skill. I'm not gonna use it in slot 3 because I don't want to do too much damage to Zamasu here, so I'm gonna use this here because I want the permanent buff, because that buffs all of the Future Saga allies again, so that gives Trunks and Vegeta like double the buffs now. This Zamasu does hit quite hard though, so I kind of want to... The problem is the gods probably kill him if we do that. I was going to say, I need to transform the gods and get them the rainbow orbs so that they can potentially dodge like a super or something, but it is very possible that we just kill this turn. Because bear in mind, again, now we're on turn 8. So Vegeta and Trunks have been on turn 1, 3, 5 and 7. So everybody on the team has an extra permanent 20% attack and defense that they wouldn't have had before, because Vegeta and Trunks have 18 key supered 4 times. So everybody on the team is already significantly better because of them, which is... I mean, the gods probably just absolutely annihilate Zamasu here, considering... Yeah, 40 million on their first attack, and we got 7 orbs, so they're going to super like 4 or 5 times in this turn, probably. And then we still have Vegeta that can attack in slot 3 as well. Yeah, some of these teams are getting so powerful. This is one of the things I was thinking, like saying in the showcases that we've been doing for like the GT heroes, like random supports and stuff, is that like the teams just go so crazy that, especially in this like boss rush stage, which is, or the, yeah, it's like the Mortal Will boss rush thing, which is fun to showcase characters on, especially because we can have that Immortal Zamasu enemy. But like the first phase against Goku Black on a GT Heroes team, like even if you have the unit on the first rotation, if you've put like AGL Gogeta in slot 1, he just kills that Goku Black, so you don't get to see anyone else do anything on the first turn. But in a way, this is a good reflection. Like, this is just showing how good the team can be. Like, this is... We know the gods are really good as it is anyway, but they're doing even better here because of the permanent buffs that they're getting from the Vegeta and Trunks, like 18 key supers. So I think Vegeta will get the kill here, even with the tug disadvantage. I mean, he didn't crit on that last attack, so if he crits on one of the 12 keys, that's probably enough. But yeah, I didn't expect we would get out of this turn without an extra attack. But yeah, that's the Int Vegeta and Trunks. Fairly safe to say that with their EZA, they are one of the best units in the game, again, which, you know, on release, they were the best unit in the game for a significant amount of time, because strong slot 1 units are so valuable in this game. And now we've got a strong defensive slot 1 unit that's also permanently buffing everybody else on the team. So that is pretty crazy. As much as I hate Festival, I may have to try doing a Festival run with like double Vegeta and Trunks, just to see how absolutely insane like numbers we can get up to with everybody. But there you go, Vegeta and Trunks, one of the best units in the game again. Very good. Looking forward to throwing them on a bunch of other teams. Again, even trying double leads of them against the tough events, I think is going to be very doable because of how good they are. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ninja. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.